Can you hear me now? The exception handling, previous class we were discussing runtime errors. What are the reasons to getting runtime errors and types of exceptions, built-in and predefined exceptions, and a user-defined exception. Now we will start the built-in exceptions. What is exception handling and how to handle the exceptions, try block and exit block. We will discussing default exit block. Okay, now we will discussing last class continuation. Now we will discussing named except block. Named except block. The named except block. The named except block can be handled. That particular type of exceptions only. The named except block can be handled that particular type of exceptions only. Syntax. Except exception class name. Exception class name. Statement n. Except exception class name, statement 1, statement 2, up to statement n. Okay, this is a named exit block. The named exit block can be handled that particular type of exceptions only. Now here I am taking as a exception class name zero division error. That means this except block in our program, it is handled only zero division error message. Except zero division error, any exception will be occurred, it is not handled. Okay, enter X value 4, 2, there is no exception. No exception will be occurred, it is handled. Here exception will be occurred, but it is not handled because this is a which except block, zero division error except block. This except block can handle only zero division error exceptions. Except zero division error, any error occurred, this except block is not handled. This except block is not handled. without any exception, without any exception. Second scenario, with exception can be handled. With exception can be handled. Next output. With exception cannot be handled. Three situations. This is a named exit block. The named exit block, which type of named exit block? Zero division error. In our program, zero division error will be occurred, then only this exit block can handle. Otherwise, it is not handled. Or suppose I am taken as a value error. Now observing, first the statement is executed, hi message is printed. Here I am passing 3 and 2, 3 by 2, 1.5 is printed. Without any exception in our try block, control will go to this statement, this by message is printed. Now hi message is printed, 3, 2.3. Now exception will be occurred here. Which exception is occurred? Value error. If any exception occur in our try block, then immediately internally our try block to identify which type of exception we are getting. Next one, receiving that exception class object and forwarding to the except block. Now this is a named except block. Which type of named except block? Value error. Both are matching. That's why this message is printed. After that, control will go to this one. By message is printed. One more time, first this statement is executed. Here I am passing 3 and a 0. Now 3 by 0. Now exception will be occurred here. Which type of exception is occurred here? Here zero division error is occurred. After identifying our try block to receive that exception class object and forward into this exit block. But this is a value error. In our program, we are getting zero division error. Both are not matching. Now, this exit block cannot be handled this exception. In that situation, our program will be terminated abnormally. Are you clear? Suppose here I am providing one user-friendly message. Enter integers only. Enter integers only. Now 3, 2 without any exception. Now one more time I'm executing 3 2.1. Now division 0, it is not handled. All of you clear? Without any exception. Without any exception. Second output with exception can be handled. With exception can be handled. Third output with exception cannot be handled. Exception cannot be handled. Next one, single try with multiple exit block. Single try with multiple except block. In single try with multiple except blocks. Multiple except blocks. We can define the default except block must be last try block up to so on statement n except exception class name exception class name statement 1 statement 2 statement n. Except statement 1 up to so on statement n. Okay, single try with the multiple exit blocks. Okay, if at the time we are defining the default exit block must be last. The default exit block must be last. Now here I am defining one more example. A equal to list of items or elements. Take the I value, int of input of, enter index. Int of a of I. Next one, b equal to max science social j equal to input of enter your key print of b of j next one print of c except key error print missing except zero division error second number not be zero except index error print of index out of range default except block print c is not defined c is not defined okay single try with multiple except blocks okay okay if any exception will be occurred in our try block then immediately control will go to outside the try block. That means to identify that exception, go to except block. In that situation, the remaining statements in our try block is not executed. First scenario, I am executing x value 3 and y value is 2, index value is 2. I am passing key value max. Now C is not defined. Default here exception will be occurred. This is the which exception name error. After identifying the try block receiving and forwarding to this one, it is not matching. Forwarding to this one, it is not matching. Forwarding to this one, this is also not matching. Forwarding to this one, it is also not matching. Finally, this default except block is executed. This message is printed. C is not defined. If a key is not available, now exception will be occurred here. Which exception is occurred? Key error. After identifying the try block receiving and forwarding to this one, this is a value error. Both are not matching. Now control go to this except block. Now it is matching. Now to print a missing key. Missing key. In that situation, this statement is not executed. Index value 5. Now index out of range. Okay, here exception will be occurred here. That is a index error. First we are identifying and receiving and forwarding to this except block. This is a value error. Both are not matching. Control go to this except block. Now this is a key error. Both are not matching. Control go to this except block. Here zero division error. But in our program, we are getting index error. Both are not matching. Control go to this one. This is matching. This message is printed. In that situation, these remaining statements are not executed in our try block. In our try block, these remaining statements are not executed. Now 2.1. Now exception will be occurred here. Which exception? Value error. Identifying and receiving and forwarding to this one. Both are matching. Enter integers only. This message is printed. In that situation, in our try block, these remaining statements are not executed. One more time, I am executing 3, 0. Now, exception will be occurred here. Which exception? Zero division error. Identifying and receiving and forward to this one. It is not matching. It is not matching. Control go to this one. Now this message is printed. Output to output 4. And output 5. By mistakenly, I'm trying to defining this default except block here, then immediately we'll get one message. The default except block must be last. The default except block must be last. Okay, same error we are getting. Next one, nested try. Nested try. That means we can define try block inside another try block, as a nested try. We can define a try block inside another try block. Statement 1 up to so on. Statement n. Another try block. Statement 1 up to so on statement n. Statement n. This try block is called outer try block. This try block is called inner try block. Outer try, inner try. If any exception will be occurred, in our outer try block, if any exception will be occurred in our outer try block, that can be handled by using outer try except block only. Whether our next one, our outer try block, outer try except block cannot be handled that particular exception. In that case, our program execution will be terminated abnormally. Okay, if any exception will be occur in our outer try block, that can be handled by using outer try except block only. Our outer try except block cannot be handled that particular exception. In that case, our program execution will be terminated abnormally. Now observing very clearly. For suppose this is a try block. Here I am written some statements. This is a inner try. Inner try statements. This is a inner try except block. Inner try except block. This is the outer try except block. Now observing very clearly. If any exception occur in our outer try block, for suppose here exception will be occurred, then immediately to identifying which type of exception is occurred, receiving and forwarding to the outer try except block. Outer try except block. This is a default except block. This default except block can handle any type of exception. For suppose we can take the named except block, whether it is not handled in that situation, our program will be terminated abnormally. Now I'm explaining. Now I'm taking as a one more try block. Now observing very clearly. 3, 2, 3 by 2, 1.5. If no more exception, control will go to outside this try block. Again, control go to this one. Die message is printed. Now this message is executed. 2.3. Now exception will be occurred here. This is a try block, outer try block. The outer try block to identify and receiving and forward into this except block. This is a value where both are matching. This message is printed. Without any exception. With exception can be handled. With exception can be handled. Without exception in our outer try, exception in our outer try that can be handled by using outer try except blocks. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, next another scenario. Without any exception. With exception, it is not handled. Now our program will be terminated abnormally because here value error is occurred. But our outer try except block is 0 division error. It is not handled. In that situation, our program will be terminated abnormally. The exception outer try that cannot be handled. That cannot be handled by using outer try except block. In that situation, our program will be terminated abnormally. Our program execution will be terminates abnormally. Okay. Next one, if any exception occurred in our inner try block that can be handled by using inner try except block. Whether it is not handled, that can be handled by using outer try except block also. If any exception occurred in our inner try block, that can be handled by using inner try except block. Inner try except block. Whether it is not handled, that can be handled by using outer try except block also. Now observing very clearly, the statement is executed 3 to 3 by 2 1.5. There is no exception. Now this message is printed. Now this message is printed 30. Now exception will be occurred here. This is a inner try block. Which exception is occurred? To identify zero division error. After identifying the try block to receive that exception and forward to this except block. Now it is a handle. This message is printed. Control will go to here. You don't return any logic. Now control will go to this one. By message is printed. Now I am trying to executing 3.2 without any exception. Without exception in our inner try block. With exception in our inner try block, that can be handled by using inner try except block. Inner try except block. In the scenario, Are you clear? Now, okay, now observing very clearly, I'm explaining. Now I am passing 3, 2 without any exception, then immediately control will go to this message. For suppose 3, 0, now exception will be occurred here. That is a 0 division error to identify receiving and forwarding to this one. Now it is not handled. Now this can be handled by using this outer try except block. Now our outer try except block can be handle this exception. Now this message is printed. First scenario without exception in our inner try. With exception in our inner try that can be handled by using outer try except block. Outer try except block. Next one we will discussing finally block. Finally block. We can define a finally block or we can define any block which is preceded by finally keyword. That block is called finally block. That block is called finally block. We can define any block which is preceded by finally keyword. That block is called finally block. Finally, statement 1, statement 2, up to so on, statement n. Okay, previously we will discussing try block. In try block, which type of statements were represented? Now try block, okay, which statements causes to runtime error and which statements execution is depends on runtime error occurred statements. The type of statements were represented in try block. Next we will discussing except block. Except block. In that except block, which type of statements were represented? In that except block, we can representing user-friendly messages related to that particular exceptions. User-friendly messages to related to that particular user exceptions. Okay, next coming to the finally block. Which type of statements were represented in finally block? The statement must be executed. The statement must be executed whether exception is raised or not raised. Even though exception is raised, whether it is handled or not handled, the type of statements we are represented in finally block. The statement must be executed. The statement must be executed whether the statement must be executed whether exception is raised or not raised. Whether exception is raised or not raised. Even though exception is raised, whether it is handled or not, the type of statements are represented in finally block. The statement must be executed whether exception is raised or not raised. Even though exception is raised, whether it is handled or not, the type of statements we are represented in finally block. In generally we can represent the resource releasing statements, releasing statements, resource releasing statements. We can represent the resource releasing statements like file closing, database connection closing, cloud connection closing, and so on. We can represent the resource releasing statements in finally block. Okay, in try block in our source code, which statements causes to runtime error and which statements execution is depends on runtime and record statement, the type of statements represented in try block. Coming to the except block, the user friendly messages to the programmer or developer or user related to that particular type of exception. Coming to the finally block, we can write the resource releasing statements. That means the statement must be executed whether exception is raised or not raised. Even though exception is raised, whether it is handled or not handled, the type of statements are represented in finally block. The type of statements are represented in finally block. Are you clear? This is the finally block. Okay. Next class, I am explaining some examples on finally block. After that, we will discussing trials. All of you clear today's session or anybody any doubt?